Welcome to the Sheff United Way. A special guest joining me now. For someone who played relatively few games for Sheffield United, we now welcome a striker remembered fondly by all who saw him in the red and white of the Blades, Martin Smith. Smudger, how are you?
I'm great, Hal. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you here on the Sheff United Way. I think it's only right to start with the fact that a Sunderland-born boy, we can't ignore that. You played for your boyhood club. So really, that makes the most sense to start there. I mean, how much did it mean for you playing for a different team in red and white?
Yeah, obviously Sunderland. It was my dream for as long as I could remember. Just wanted to play for Sunderland. So I used to go to games from I think probably the age 5 or 6. Could see the stadium from my bedroom window and stuff like that. So it was always just Sunderland, and then sort of to make my debut and come through there was stuff dreams are made of, really.
Yeah, I can imagine something that obviously we as Sheffield United fans also dreamed about, but we didn't have quite the ability that you had. Who was the first manager you ever played under for the first team?
For the first team was 𝗬𝗍𝗶𝗲. 𝗬𝗍𝗶𝗲 gave us my debut, so I think it was the age of 19, and actually scored on my debut, 19th minute, in front of the full end, which is one of the ends. Obviously, as time went on, you'd move around the grounds, but the full end was the main end at Roker Park, so to say, to score a free kick right in front of them after 19 minutes, and on your debut, as I say, it was fantastic. But yeah, it was 𝗬𝗍𝗶𝗲 gave me my debut, and I think he lasted 7 games. So I don't know if it was something to do with me, but as my career went on, it tended to find out that managers didn't hang around long when I was there.
Well, there was one that did hang along at Sunderland for quite some time, and actually is quite synonymous with the sort of time that you were around, Peter Reid, and he really became well known for fans who supported other teams when there was that documentary made just before the building of the Stadium of Light, and it was that season in the Premier League, and there was a lot of swearing. But what was Peter Reid really like?
Yeah, well, again, if you watch Premier Passions, that was him. He was a hard man, didn't suffer any fools. He just, whether you were a young lad or a senior pro, he would just tear into you. Again, he'd come in and Mick Buxton got the sack. We had sort of 7 games to try and save our season. He'd come in for the 7 games, and we stayed up with the game to spare in the end, and he got the job on the back of that. So, and a team that was going to get relegated, really, if he didn't come in the next season, we got promoted into the Premier League, and that's when the Premier Passions. Yeah, but yeah, he was a tough man. I didn't play masses under him, especially the last few years. But he, again, somebody who had a massive influence on my career in terms of just how you had to really sort of live your life, become fitter, and again, he just demanded stuff from you every day. So again, from a young lad when I was in the team under Buxton, local lad doing well, I probably got away with a bit more than I should have. Didn't get that discipline, but as I say, when Reedy come in, that discipline soon followed. So yeah, a couple of years, but he was exactly like that. He was a tough man, and again, I found it difficult at times to play under him because he was not an arm round the shoulder, which a soft winger forward like myself sort of liked. So again, I wouldn't have changed it for the world from playing under him. As I said, he sort of opened my eyes to how I had to go about if I wanted a longer career in the game.
I think a lot of Sheffield United fans would relate because Dave Bassett was similar, took over Sheffield United when weren't doing that well, like Peter Reid, sort of saved Sunderland from relegation, then took them up, just like Bassett did with Sheffield United. Unfortunately, like Reid and Bassett, down would also come, and eventually they leave. But I think Blades fans love Dave Bassett. Sunderland fans, I know, still love Peter Reid. You're right, you didn't maybe get as many games as you should have done under him.
Yeah, again, I think we're fans, and I'm sure Sheffield fans and Sunderland fans probably very similar in a lot of ways. Brought up the same sort of working class backgrounds, and I think, as I say, with Dave Bassett and Peter Reid, you've probably got teams in the mould of the fans in a lot of ways. Like as I say, the managers just demanded so much. You knew what you were going to get. You expected 100% from everybody. As I say, I think both sets of fans probably, as I say, could really relate to the managers and the type of teams they used to put on the pitch.
Yeah, and both of them weren't actually from the city. That
No.
they became so synonymous with, which is,
Yeah.
that's football though, isn't it? It's quite rare that you actually do get home-born and bred managers also managing their club. I think Sheffield United have been quite lucky in that respect, but certainly look at some of your top six. It's almost unheard of to have managers from exactly that city managing the club. I mean, just think of the ones at the moment. I'll tell you what else was interesting. Right. The son of Pele, Sunderland fans dubbed you thus. Do you remember when that first came about, when you first heard it and how you felt?
Yeah, I mean, it was the local fanzine, and apparently one of the guy Martin McFadden, who ran the local fanzine, I think he nicknamed us it, and there'd just sort of been a couple of T-shirts out from, I think Dickie Ord maybe's had one, and Craig Russell, and I think they were looking for somebody else, and it was me, so they made these T-shirts with the son of Pele on, and as I say, it was great, a bit of a laugh at the time. You think, oh well, that'll wear off after a couple of months, but everywhere I went, it was still there. Yeah, the son of Pele. So again, now lads, he's Pele. Like, I'll still play footy with my mate, and Pele is playing tonight and all that. So it is again. You sort of from something where you think, oh, it'll just be a little novelty to follow you around, and it is. I mean, again, I'm pushing nearly 50 now. To still be known as something. It's quite nice now. I probably like it more now than when it started, to be honest.
It's amazing. It's amazing. 30 years on, we're still talking about it here in 2023. You'd never have imagined it when you first heard it.
I know, it is. It's ridiculous. As I say, I do bits and pieces of commentary for Northampton on away games, and you're talking like it was 2 years ago, and it's like 14, 15, 16 years ago. As I say, it's ridiculous where the time goes.
It really is. I'd imagine it was a bit of a wrench to leave Sunderland. How did the move to Sheffield United come about?
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't. It was one of them. I toyed about leaving 2 years previous, and really sort of convinced me to stay, saying you'd get more game time and we'll use you more and this and that. And to be fair, in the first year I did play a bit more. Second year, the year before, I think I started 3 games, scored 3 goals, but like I was just a bit part player. And I say, got to the end of that season, and I knew for my own career, I sort of had to get out. And it was Sunderland really offered me another 2 years. Look, want you to stay, we'll use you more. Same as what we'd sort of went round the 2 years previous. But again, this time I just knew I was 24. I just knew for my career, I just had to move. So again, that was it. It was a reasonably easy decision in the end. And again, it wasn't until I left. And I remember the first day of training at Sheffield United, I hadn't actually signed, but I thought to myself, God, I should have done this 2 years ago, just to get my career going. But hindsight's a great thing. But as I say, it was quite an easy one in the end.
Did you say to your agent, look, I don't mind who I sign for, they've just got to wear red and white?
It did help. I mean, it's funny, I didn't turn up at, I think, again, the odd dates might get a bit hazy, but the first game of the season was Portsmouth away on the Saturday, and I didn't sign till the Thursday night. My first training session, I think, was maybe the Thursday morning. So that pre-season was sort of, it was a strange one, because I left Sunderland and thinking there'd be a lot of offers coming in, to be honest, because I'd had a reasonable pedigree, 121s, but again, I'd played, so I was expecting like a few more offers, but I ended up going on trial at Burnley. So I went to Burnley. They offered me 6 months. So I turned that down, thinking, well, if you offer us 6
months.
If you offer me 6 months, you're not really sure about us.
It's very strange.
Yeah, and then I went to Ipswich. I went down Ipswich for 5 days, and I enjoyed it. And they offered me 2 years, believe it or not, on like good money. And I was on my way down to sign. I think maybe he's on the Tuesday, and Adrian Heath had got the job, obviously my reserve team coach from Sunderland, and I'd been on it in most of pre-season. Look, I'll come. I want to come and play for you. And he couldn't quite, I think finances were tight, probably thinking I wouldn't just come for next to nothing. So as I say, everything was agreed with Ipswich, and I was driving down there, as I say, maybe I think on the Tuesday, and I just said, I rang in, she said, look, I'm on my way to sign. I don't really want to sign. I said, just get me something and I'll come play for you. And he says, right, leave it with us. So I turn up at Ipswich. They're thinking I'm going to sign, and I sort of say to my agent, I'm not signing. And he was like, you what? I said, nah. I said, it took me 7 hours to drive down here. I said, it's like out in the middle of nowhere, and I just thought, if I come here, I might just get sucked into country pubs and just there's nothing else to do. And I just, as I say, I went and saw George Burley and sort of more or less just said, look, I appreciate the offer. It's a fantastic offer, but it's not for me. And to be fair, he just said, look, I understand and look, wish you all the best. If it's not right, it's best for both of us. You don't sign. So as I say, I was off, and then I think maybe it's on the Wednesday or Thursday. I just came in Sheffield United to train with no contract, and then we trained. As I say, I trained well, felt more than comfortable with a standard there that I was as good as what was there without sort of blowing me on trumpet. And I think after training, and she just says, look, we can get you X pound a week. And I just said, I'll sign it. And that was it, signed for the year. So I think another training session maybe. No, I didn't. I think I trained the Thursday and then travelled to Portsmouth on the Friday. That was it. So again, like the whole pre-season, I'm more or less done myself. Sort of looked after myself, apart from a couple of trials. I just did pre-season by myself. I think I maybe played a half for Burnley. I played a game for Ipswich. So again, just maybe a game and a half pre-season, bits and pieces of training, and then just signed for Sheffield United. I was actually sub on the Saturday. Yeah, I think she does. I think he maybe thought, wow, he's not going to be in that great a nick. He's been by himself most of the pre-season. He only signed yesterday. So I was on the bench at Portsmouth away.
So, I mean, you hit the ground running. I mean, we'll get to that. But actually, did you at any point keep a little eye on Ipswich? Because, that could have been you. And George Burley did a pretty good job.
They won the league. I'm pretty sure they won the league that year.
And then they were in Europe a few
the next year. They were playing in the San Siro on that, weren't they?
Mad.
It's like, yeah, again, you knew they had good players when I was down there. See, I think it was 𝗵𝗱𝗃𝗂𝗃, Mark Venus, some good players, and you could see it was going to be a good team. But as I say, I was always one personally. I just, if I got a feel for something, I didn't really. And again, I think George Burley, by the way, would have been a great manager for us, but I just, as I say, Sheffield, Adrian Heath, I just felt it was probably better for me. I knew Inchy really well from me, say, the reserve team days, and I knew if anybody was going to get me going again and get me, and I'm going to play, if I'm fit, I'll play. It was going to be him.
And he did. And I've got to ask, because it looked on paper like the perfect fit. Adrian Heath brought in some good players, great pedigree, fantastic player. Why didn't it work under Inchy?
With Inchy, I think he come into a dress like obviously Curtis was there, 𝗏𝗏. There was some good players, but I don't know. I think a lot of I think now with Curtis, I think he's come out and said himself at the time he wasn't living great off the pitch. He was drinking a lot. I think 𝗏𝗏 probably say the same. I think there was the better players were the younger players, and maybe weren't living the life the way. As I say, I think if we'd got that team and everybody was firing, I think maybe it could have been better. I think Inchy, it was probably his first real manager's job, and it might have he didn't know how to cope with it, maybe, how to discipline the lads or get them, So I think maybe it was just that, because he's gone on to have a great career in America managing from there. So again, maybe it's just his first, I think, like one of his first jobs. It's a massive job, and as I say, maybe it's at the time maybe it's just come a bit too soon.
Oh, well, he ended up in Orlando. There's worse places.
It is. I know he hasn't done well. As I said, he's still out there now. I think I noticed he's moved on to another club out there, so he's obviously doing well.
Oh, he must love it. I mean, when I think about your time at Sheffield United, you scored a lot of goals. I think it was 10 in 26 in the league, 15 in 30.
I think it's something around there. Yeah, I think you're going to think that I've been looking at my stats here, but I'm sure it was 15 and 24. I could be wrong. It was
that's a ridiculous return, isn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was. As I said, I just hit the ground running. As I say, I think I scored on my home debut. I think within a game with about 10 15 minutes coming on sub against Shrewsbury, and as I say, from there everything just seemed to fly in.
Yeah, that was in the Worthington Cup, as it was known then. But
Yeah.
Why did it all click at Sheffield United? Did you feel, in a way, you had a point to prove?
No, not as I said. No, I mean, it just felt instantly. Again, I think if you score on your debut, it gives you that massive confidence. To get two on your debut, obviously. Again, I just think when I went Huddersfield on my debut, I hit inside the post and to come out, and you just at the time you think, oh, it's got to be one of them here, then is it? Whereas Sheffield United, it just, as I say, had my first shot. I would assume I lobbed the keeper, went in, and I think I scored one with maybe my right foot from outside the box, which you're thinking, wow, this doesn't happen. So it was
collector's item.
Well, as I say, it just sort of hit the ground, and I felt really comfortable there. It sort of, well, obviously with 𝗬𝗍, but they say a good set of lads, and just the club felt a lot like Sunderland as well. Like not just the red and white, but it was that sort of feel of the old Roker Park, a proper football club. But to say it sort of just felt right from the start.
Yeah, and the fans took to you, and that probably helped as well. We all adored you because you scored goals, and that's really, as you were playing then, mainly as a striker, that's kind of all you ask as a fan. And I was going to ask what the highlight of your time at Bramall Lane was, but actually the question might be, what was the highlight of your time playing for Sheffield United? Because I think your highlight actually came in an away game.
It did, yeah, coming away game, not too far from where I'm sitting, really, probably 12 mile up the road. Yeah, it was obviously against Newcastle in the FA Cup. It was obviously being Sunderland fan. I never got to play in the time Weir Derby at the time. I think we were only in the same league once while my time was there, so I never had the chance. And yeah, as soon as we drew with Rushden, I think, at home, and obviously you get
penalty shootout. I think eventually.
Yeah, well, it was you get the draw after the replay. Before the replay, so it was like Newcastle will play Sheffield United or Rushden and Diamonds, and you're like, oh, we kind of get knocked out off Rushden and Diamonds, but it did. It went to penalties, and I'd say that was Neil actually. Neil was manager, and yeah, I think he brought me off, so I wasn't even on for the penalty shootout, which was even worse. It was absolute torture, knowing what the prize was at the end. But as I say, thankfully we got through. But yeah, just again, it was. Obviously, the result wasn't great. But my goal came when us were 1-0 down, so my goal sort of made it 1-1. Which again, the fans were in the corner. But as I say, the ball's come over, great ball from Hunty, and again, it just shows. I mean, the ball must have been a split second, but I remember as it's coming over, the things that were going through my head was like, just volley it. No, don't volley it, because if it goes over the bar, you're going to get hammered off the mags. And then it was like take a touch, and it just probably for the pressure I was feeling, just the best touch I've ever. It just killed it instantly. A little one, another little touch outside my boot, and then little outside the boot past Harper in front of the Gallagher. And as I say, the Sheffield United fans were over in the corner. And I was never one for big celebrations. Normally, it was just standing there. I've got home and started dancing around the corner flag. It's like, yeah. So you can tell that meant brilliant. Something to us.
I can't believe all that went through your head.
Yeah, it was. As I say, it must have been a split second that took for the ball from getting Hunty to me, and the things that were going through my head. But again, I was for about 10, 15 minutes after that goal, I was gone. I couldn't tell you. I was just on a different level. Just as I say, the game probably passed me by after that for about 10 or 15 minutes. And again, unfortunately, we were on the end of a bit of a thumping, but it was a special day for myself.
I can't believe you remember games so well because you've played in so many. And I was thinking that, do you remember who made the pass? You clearly do. You remember the full-time score. I remember that game very well as well, but I wasn't playing in it.
I was going to say, I have watched that goal quite a few times, so that's how I know it was Hunty. It was just a big diagonal to me. Yeah.
I
think I was up against Warren Barton and Nobby Solano. I think Kieran Dyer played that day. But yeah, as I say, I don't remember them all that well, but obviously that was a special one. And as I say, I've got the photographs of the game and the celebration and all them sort of things. So that's why I remember that one so well.
Did you make of, because you're wearing quite a special kit in terms of it was very colourful, did you as players, did you ever care about what the strip was like? Because you played under some, I'll be honest, some bad home kits, I thought, and you played under. Well, I like that away kit.
Yeah, no, I did. I liked that one, but yeah, there is some kits. It was funny. I was looking at a photograph with my partner the other night. Something flashed up of a Sunderland kit, this turquoise one, and it looks horrendous. At the time, I can't remember it being that bad, but it looks terrible. But there, that was a great kit. That's the only top I've still got. No, I got the white away one when I left. So
You've not got a home.
I've not got a home one.
Kits.
I think 𝗬𝗍𝗶𝗲, the kit man, was sort of known for making them disappear and selling them up the club to make himself a few quid. So yeah, I haven't got the home one. As I say, and the white one and the yellow one. I've definitely got the white one. I think I have got the yellow one, but as I say, over the years things sort of disappear. But I know that the white one's definitely in the room just there.
I think my wife would like a few of my shirts to disappear.
I thought you were in the club shop there, actually.
Yeah, I know. It looks like the club shop. If they still sold old shirts. I got some pretty old ones here. Absolutely amazing that you remember it so well. I mean, for those younger people watching, that match against Newcastle, I think 4-1 in the end.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
For what it's worth, I remember us being well in that match. I remember at half-time, my best buddy, Newcastle fan, I actually had to send him an email because, of course, it was different times, and I had access to be able to do that, and telling him, we are in this game. This is a match we are going to come out second half. Anyway, I wish I hadn't sent that. But it was one of those where we were really in it. But you said maybe your head went after scoring. I seem to recall quite a few other players the same way, and I think that we just allowed Newcastle back in. And, hey, it happens.
I've got a feeling just after half-time they'll come out and maybe scored a couple of quick ones, and I think Duncan
the tails up.
Yeah, and that was it. It was it. Once you start chasing games against Premier League sides, I think that's when the game opens up, and you struggle. I think under Neil, I think I came off after about 80 minutes or so. But again, it was great, as I said, to play there and to play there and score was something I'll never forget.
Can you put your finger on it? Because I always think with football, it might be just the tiniest little incremental things that actually make a difference between not winning and winning, particularly when the players are the same. From what the difference was with Adrian Heath, and then, as you mentioned, Neil Warnock, his replacement.
I think Neil, again, a bit like Reedy, just the demand from him. As I say, you knew if you went in at half-time, again, a bit like Reedy, I think we've seen Neil in the dressing rooms, and it's just that demand. And again, with Neil, it probably wasn't during the week. I think sometimes he would only turn up on a Thursday and Friday, and Blackie would do most of the training. But as I say, once it coming in around like game time and matches, that's when he really took over. And as I say, the demand, and again, you knew when the manager was at the training ground, training levels, the intensity was always, because as I say, demanded. I think at times we'd have to train on Fridays with shin pads on because he wanted you to get wired in. So again, that's something Reedy never done. But yeah, I'm sure at times we trained with shin pads on. So as I say, it was just the intensity. And again, if you went in at half time and things weren't quite good, he'd tear into us. As I say, I'm sure we've seen it. So again, that happened a few times. But again, he was experienced enough then to know how to get. And he brought a few different players in himself. I think he more or less brought Brownie straight in from Man City, who was a good player. Even though Adrian Heath had brought Benty in, I don't think Benty was played many games under Inchy, so Neil got the benefit of having Benty there as well, who was just finding his feet, got a few games in. So yeah, it was probably just a bit of a better squad. And as I say, Neil just knew how to set people up. As I say, some managers, Adrian was very he liked to be expansive, whether or not that showed in the football. But again, his sort of philosophy, I think, was more on the attacking side and being in there, where I think Neil comes in, a bit like 𝗍𝗶𝗲-𝗏𝗏𝗏 and people like that. The first thing is sort of back out and be hard to beat. Yeah, that's what he did. With Kevin Blackwell was there at the time, and he focused more. He do a lot of work with those strikers, and it was enjoyable. But as I say, Neil just knew his job probably, and probably a bit more than Inchy. And as I say, he could transmit that to the players. And as I say, he come with that sort of, if you didn't do it for him, you were going to get a good telling off.
Yeah, seemed like a good motivator, Neil Warnock.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, he is. And as I said, it's one of them where I wasn't so keen when he first got the job because I thought, it's probably not going to well. I was having such a good time, and I was thinking, this probably isn't going to be working out for me. But it was the total opposite, to be honest. As I say, I really enjoyed it. And again, as I say, with 𝗏𝗏𝗂𝗏, I loved training under 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. For somebody who was a goalkeeper and you would associate maybe with being more defensive and training might be a bit more rigid, the stuff he used to put on for strikers was superb. So again, I used to love training. But yeah, just it was good to be part of for that small little sample size.
Yeah, it wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough at all. Who were your pals during that short time at Bramall Lane?
Again, it's a funny one because I used to live sort of out the way. I lived up, I don't know if you know, like High Bradfield, out the back of Hillsborough. I wanted to be sort of out the way of the town, just far enough where I can just be out the way, as I say, just no sort of distractions. So again, like Jody Craddock came down from Sunderland on loan. Jody came in, so I knew Jody. But again, it was one. I think quite a few of the lads lived away, like used to travel. Dev, Ian Hamilton, Sandy. I think they used to travel up from the Birmingham area, so they weren't really masses of us in the area. Aidan Davison was in, got on great with Aidan. Another big Sunderland fan, so got on with Aidan straight away. But no, there was a good set of lads in the CA with Quinny, Curtis. They were really good lads. So again, it was with them. There wasn't a bad apple amongst them. It was just a really good set of lads. Trace as well. Yeah, so I got off goal with Trace because I like a bet, and often I didn't know that I'd go in a lot of bookies and Trace would be standing there.
I can believe that.
Yeah, no, as I say, it was just again, I think all them things just made me settle in as well as I did. It was just a good group of lads.
So you're on fire, you're scoring goals for the Blades, the fans have taken to you, and suddenly Huddersfield Town. That move wasn't one we as Blades fans wanted to see at all. And also I think the fact that it was a club that many of us thought were not better than us, and it was a Yorkshire rival, was a hard one to swallow. So tell me about that move.
It never nearly happened, and it was.
I wish it hadn't.
Well, if it wasn't them, it was Notts Forest. It was Notts Forest was the one. And again, I know people look and think, "Why is he left?" But I got the feeling, as I say, I really loved being under Neil, but he was just signing me to try and tie me down to move me in the summer. I got the feeling I weren't really his type of player in a lot of ways. Again, I just first started talking about a new contract when Adrian Heath was there, because I was only on the year, and then she was like, "We'll get you sorted out as soon as we can. You're doing brilliant." So what I'd not more or less initially agreed, I was happy with, and it would have been signed if Inchie had stayed. But Inchie left, Neil comes in, and the deal and the contract offer just sort of disappeared a lot, really. Doesn't really get talked about. And then come back to try and sort it out, and it's changed. It's not what was sort of agreed in the first place. It was less. And again, I bet boys think it's money. I wouldn't have been at Sheffield United in the first place if all I would think about was the money. I'd have been at Ipswich. So
you were offered more at Ipswich? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, 3-4 times
really?
more. Wait, 2 years on 3-4 times more money. As I say, Sheffield United. I was on. You see it next to nothing, but it was like as low as a wage I'd been on since I was probably 17, 18. Wow. I was on, so I wasn't on a lot of money, but I was happy with what had been offered. But as I say, it sort of just disappeared, and then it comes back under Neil, and it's not what I'd agreed, and it's like, well, where's that gone? And as I say, it was just got the feeling Neil maybe trying to appease the fan. We're doing this, and he's good at that. He'd come to the papers, we give him everything we can. He's turned down, and you'd see it. I've seen it happen afterwards. Still happens when he was at Middlesbrough. I saw the old talking to the newspapers, and we'll give him this, and you think he said that about me, and that wasn't right. So he knows how to play it. You know what I mean? And as I say, I just got the feeling it was one of them. I'm doing this. I'll be happy if you go, because I can say it was your fault, you're greedy. But and as I say, I think even if I had signed, I'd have been gone in the summer. I don't think.
Wow.
I was massively his sort of player. And if you again, I don't know it, but if you go through the games that I started under him, I'd be amazed if I lasted the majority. I was always getting taken off because I was.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Dev used to go crazy because I said often it was me and Dev up front. Dev would be out. And it always seemed to be me and Dev. And Dev would like, we've ran them ragged, and you're giving. Then somebody's coming on last 10 minutes to get all the glory. And I'm thinking, hi, Dev. But he'd always say to me, Roger, get on that far wing, get over there. So I'd go over thinking, I'm playing left wing, and then my number would go up. And I was like, oh, he's done me again. He'd send you as far away as possible, so it takes us so long to get back across. So every time I'd go across that left wing, I'd be like, oh, I must be left wing. And then the number would go up, and I'd be like, oh, he's done this again. Like, I'd forget.
Just a time waste.
So you go in the dressing room, Dev would be ranting and raving, and I'd be like, I'm thinking, how's he out? I fell for that one again. You know. So again, I think it was, it just wasn't, as I say, fans just see the one side, but it was, I just felt it wasn't going to be a long-term thing. And again, when you were flying as much as I was, as I say, I think by then I had 14, 15 goals. I had to make the most of it. And as I say, I was on next to nothing and I had a chance. And obviously, once you realise you're racing, that's when you try and get as much as you can when you know you're going. But as I say, it was supposed to be Notts Forest. It was always Notts Forest. I think we played Walsall on the Saturday, and I'd done my hamstring, so I had to come off. And I'd been speaking with David Platt. The clubs knew, and it was all agreed. And then I was supposed to go down, I think, and more or less sign. But my sister had an accident in Scotland, so she was in hospital in Scotland. So I had to go and get my mum and dad and take my mum and dad up to see my sister in hospital in Glasgow. So I was up there 3 days when I should have been probably signing for Forest, if I remember rightly. And then I'm driving back down, saying maybe it's the Tuesday, and my phone rings, and it was Steve Bruce, and he just says, "Oh, look, really interested in signing." I said, "Well," and it was. I said, "I'm signing for Notts Forest tomorrow," and he was like, "Right." He says, "What time?" I says, "Well, it's tomorrow afternoon." He says, "Well, will you just give me 10 minutes in the morning at 𝗟𝗟𝗄𝐿𝐻 Services?" So I met him at 𝗟𝗟𝗄𝐿𝐻 Services, and he just more or less convinced me to go to Huddersfield. I knew a couple of lads there at the time. They were in the playoff positions. Forest were close to the bottom of the league. So again, I just made that phone call to my agent, said, I'm not going to Notts Forest, I'm going to Huddersfield. And he was like, "You what?" And he says, "Do you want me to ring David Platt?" And I says, "Nah." I says, I'm 40 minutes up the road, an hour. I says, I'll go and see him as planned. Because I said we'd spoke a few times over the last few weeks, and he's understood about me stuff. Like, so I thought I'll go down and just see him myself. So I pull in the City Ground car park, not expecting much. TV cameras, and there's staff from the ground outside waiting for me. So I get out the car, "Oh, man, pleased to see you," and "Oh, we can't wait to have you on board." And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, this is not going to end well." I thought I'd just turn up, see David Platt, and I'll be off. Nobody and be any the wiser. So they take me in, go into the office, say, "Dave, oh, brilliant, how's your sister? And it's great to see you." And he started talking, "Oh, these plans," and I've said, "Oh," and I says, "Oh, David, can I stop you there?" And he says, "Yes." I said, "I'm not signing." And he's like, "You what?" I says, "Yeah." I says, I've met Steve Bruce this morning, and I'm going to Huddersfield. I said, "But I wanted to come down man to man and just tell you my reasons." And he was like, "You fucking kidding me? I'm David Platt. This is Notts Forest. You know Huddersfield." And I says, "I know." I says, "But like, David, they're in the playoff positions. To be fair, you could be sacked in a couple of weeks because the bottom. Get out my office." So it was like, I said, "Oh, bloody hell, no need to be like that." So I've gone out, and as you can now, I'm walking out, you can just see everybody going, "Where's he going?"
Wow.
And then I was just in my car and off up, and I signed. The press conference was with Huddersfield late, about 2 hours later in the afternoon.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
I had no idea of that.
No, I do a couple of talkings now, and I've done bits and tell people. But as I say, people don't realise. As I say, it was never really going to be Huddersfield. I bet Huddersfield fans would probably think I wish it wasn't, but Yeah, so it was just circumstances, really. As I say, if my sister hadn't collapsed in Scotland, I'd have been Notts Forest player. Yeah.
Was
And
she
again,
all right?
yeah, she was. Yeah. As I
Good.
say, I often wonder if she did it on purpose. Just
Well, it would have been very different.
I mean, Forest, I think he didn't last till the end of the season, but again, Huddersfield, we didn't even get in the playoffs that year, so I think whichever one I took probably would have been a bad choice. So yeah, I mean, it was again, because I'd had such a good time at Sheffield, and I loved it, and as I say, with the club, and the fans were a lot like Sunderland, a massive away following. Just I loved it. But as I say, I just felt, for me, it was, if I hadn't left then, I was going to be leaving in the summer anyway. That was my real sort of thinkings if how it was going to pan out.
It's amazing how fans look at it. It's so black and white with fans. It's so simple. Here's a player playing well, in a position, scoring goals as a striker, and then we just see, he's gone to a team that have obviously offered more, that are doing better in the league. That's, as a fan, you think, there's no loyalty there, but we don't know the ins and outs.
No, I do, and I get it, and I got loads of mail. I got absolutely hammered of the Sheffield United fans, and again, you get it, and as I say, they just say, why is he leaving my club? And as I say, there's no, but for me personally, there was always reasons behind what I did, and as I say, it did come down once I said I was leaving. Obviously, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want the best contract I could get possible.
It's a short career, absolutely.
Yeah, but as I say, if it was all like that, I'd have been at Ipswich, and I would never have been Sheffield United. No, I always did what I felt was right for me career, especially from when I left Sunderland. I realised I started to do what was right for my career. I stayed at Sunderland probably 2 years too long, and as I say, from them, I always made moves that I felt probably would benefit us in some way.
What do you think nowadays about the way that a lot of players, maybe a lot's the wrong term, some players will talk to the fans during their career via things like YouTube or podcasts and explain their reasoning behind some of the decisions they've made? Because we as fans at that time, when you went to Huddersfield, until right now, I have had no idea about any of that.
Yeah. No, again, as I say, I mean, some people wouldn't be bothered. It bothered me in a way that I was painted as that, but you don't really, as a player, you've got to be mentally strong anyway, so it doesn't affect you massively. But as I say, it would have been nice maybe to say, look, this is the reason I'm going. But again, Neil probably would have just come out and said, no, he's greedy, and you would have all believed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably. He's stuck behind, and he was a blade.
Yeah, no, exactly. So again, I wouldn't like to play with all that social media and that nowadays. I would just drive me mad. I probably wouldn't be on it. I would say, as I say, I used to be bad enough reading the Sports Echo and seeing that one letter every week. So somebody having a go at you, sort of pick the phone up every day, and somebody's just trying to again. It's the way of the world, but as I say, I think I played in the better years. Where, as I say,
I think you did.
We always say, I mean, the football changed even when I was playing, say how you used to have to look after yourself. I mean, in terms of fitness, I was probably fitter, not like with my knees and stuff, but fitter as a general athlete when I retired than I was when I started.
Really?
But, yeah, just the way you used to have to look after yourself, and as I say, just what you knew. So again, that's just totally different now. As I say, we used to be able to go for a pint in the players' bar after the game when I first started, and you'd have a few cans on the bus. Something we passed out nice used to be the bus on the way home from. Used to love if you played in London, you'd have 3 crates on the bus on the way back to Sunderland. You know what I mean? It's a long dropped trip. Off outside the nightclub, and it was, as I say, it just used to be fantastic. And as I say, when we meet up with the older lads, you all say, the money would be nice now, but wow, would you swap it for what we had, what we could get away with? As I said, if the camera phones are about them days. Oof.
You're right, though. Doing the job you loved with your mates, and you're right, there's no one there filming you when you're off the job, so to speak. When you are having that downtime after a game, you can just be yourselves, and that probably was the best times.
Yeah. No, and as I said, it is. You just think it must be hard to get away from it. as I say, we all want to. You want to be on Twitter and that now because you want to see what's going on. But as I say, if you're a professional sportsman now, especially football, I think you just be. There's got to be something there most days about a lot of players, and it must just drive. Mental side of it must just be so hard that way. As I say, we'd get beaten. It's not ideal, but we could get beaten. Just have a few pints, and it's just to make you sort of half move on. You don't get over it, but it can. You've got that release. Whereas I say this day, I don't know how. Like the release, just to switch off. As I say, it must be mentally must just be so different.
I agree. Must be really, really hard. So what is Martin Smith up to these days?
I work in the agency side a bit now. I work for a company called Quantum Sport. So I just involved with players. So that's something I'd sort of started. I retired in 2008, and I think 2012 I got into that side of it. It wasn't something I ever thought I'd see myself doing, to be honest. But just sort of stumbled into it and enjoyed it. Just again, I tried other bits and pieces, thinking I could step away from football, but everything sort of just brought me back to football. And again, I'm pleased it has. I'll do sort of again. I'll do little commentary in the north, the Northampton town, when they're playing in the north. So I do that. And odd times, Total Sport, which is the local talking on Radio Newcastle. So like it's between the North East football clubs. So sometimes I'm on there. So yeah, just still involved in football. Really, yes. Nothing else I know too much about. When people might say I don't know a lot about football, but it's yeah. So I still football. Still involved in it. As I say, it's great. Again, you get around to games and you bump into lads you've not seen. As I say, I was talking to Curtis Woodhouse probably a month, 6 weeks ago because he got the job at Marsk, which is not too far from us. So, but he didn't last too long, Curtis.
Nope.
And then I saw Brownie. I saw Michael Brown at a Bradford Northampton game. So again, it just keeps you out there, and as I say, it's just nice to keep seeing people that you haven't seen for a while.
I love it. We wish you well with that now outside of playing the game. Thank you for the memories. I think over mythology and time, it's gone from maybe 10 goals he scored for us, 15 goals for us, 30 goals for us. It's now like a Ronaldo, Messi kind of tally. I think Martin scored a goal, not every other game, a goal every game. Maybe he got a couple a game. We have that as well with a lone player, Martin Phillips, who, people that didn't see him will, oh no, he was the best lone player we ever had. 6 goals in 2 games. It wasn't that at all. It's just over time you forget the figures.
No,
it's just,
exactly.
We'll inflate them a bit for you.
No, I appreciate that. No, as I say, it was great days. It was just again, I look at my Sheffield United goals and it just seemed to be everything. Just used to seem to fly in and they're all.
And it was all types of goals as well.
Yeah, but like the volleys, and as I say, I've gone to other clubs and never had the chances to do. But everything just seemed to fall when I was at Sheffield United. As I say, it was.
I'll tell you the one bad thing about playing in your era is that now there are highlights of every game at multiple angles that are very easy to find. And actually, your time at Sheffield United is almost a lost season in terms of goals.
I have looked at times because, as I say, there was some good goals there. The one I scored at Tranmere away was as good a goal as I scored. I have got it on VHS somewhere. But
so have I, on
VHS. VHS recorder. So,
Same.
As I say, there's ones that it goes against Shrewsbury, and both in the away game, the home game. Never seen them again. As I say, it is sad in a way. The only ones that always turn up was Swindon. If he ever scored against Swindon, no matter where you were, Swindon's
YouTube channel. Yeah. I can find any Sheffield United goal we scored at the county ground. They are brilliant at that. You're right. Yeah. I wish every club had been like that.
That's it. I don't know what was Swindon's secret, but everything's there. Because I think I scored 4 or 5 over a space of about 2 or 3 years against Swindon, and they're all there.
Yeah, absolutely right. No idea why. Swindon fans, if you're watching, please explain it. Martin Smith, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for giving up the time to speak to us.
Appreciate it, Al. No bother.